Today in our 2013 Cadillac SRX, we will be installing the Blue Ox base plate kit, part number BX1690.
With our base plate installed, there's not very much at all sticking out from the front of the vehicle. It's a very clean look, so you don't have to worry about running your knees into anything while you're walking around the front of it. It comes with these plastic dust caps here to keep any dirt and debris out of where the removable arms go into. That way, when you actually do need to put them in to tow your vehicle, they go in nice and smoothly. You're not fighting the arms at all. And they just pop right in there and they pull out real easily, but not easily enough that they'll fall out while you're driving down the road. So here's a removable arm. You see this nice tab here, plus this locking detent pin. To install it, just insert it horizontally, like so, push in, and twist until the pin locks into position. Just like that. So you can see they're not going anywhere. If you want to remove them, pull out the detent pin, twist down, pull out. Just like that. Once you remove them, it's a good idea to put your dust covers back in. We have these nice hooks here to hook our safety chains up to on our tow vehicle. Just in case it ever were to pop off the tow bar, we have something that holds it to the vehicle so you can slow down safely. Right here, we have two convenient tabs to mount your electrical connector for your towed vehicle lights, your breakaway switch, for your towed vehicle braking system, things of that nature. And now that we've shown the key features of the Blue Ox base plate kit, we can go ahead and show you how to install it. Now with our hood open on our Cadillac, we can go ahead and start removing these 6 plastic push pin fasteners that hold this panel piece on in order to gain access to the bolts that hold our bumper in place. Spin them around so we have access to our trim panel tool, pull up the middle, push out the bottom. Do that for all 6 of those. Now this rubber molding piece right here, starting in the middle section right here, just pull it over to the passenger side a little bit, and you can see that there's a hook that holds the molding into place. It switches directions in the middle, so when we get to the driver's side of the molding, we'll need to pull to the driver's side. So let's pull this back, working our way around the vehicle, like so. We can just fold it back over the engine like that. Then we can remove this plastic piece. There's some panel retainers underneath it. Just pull up on it and they'll pop loose. And we can set it out of the way. Now there's 7 10mm bolts we need to remove. Now with our steering wheel turned all the way over to the passenger side, we can gain access to these 4 screws here, 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 and here on the fender liner. Let's take those out. Now we'll turn the wheel to the driver's side and repeat the process for the passenger side. Now we can pull back the fender liner a little bit. And right where the bumper meets the fender, there's a 7mm bolt. We can remove that on both sides. Now with the vehicle raised slightly, we can remove this belly pan here, which covers up the radiator in front of the bumper. There's 12 7mm bolts, so we can start removing those. Now a little tech tip here, the belly pan only needs to come loose from the bumper to do the install, but I found it easier from prior experience to remove it completely. So there's the 2 screws on either side, plus 3 10mm bolts, here, here, and here. So let's remove all these. All right, with those screws removed from the fender liner on either side, we take these 3 10mm bolts out. Just set this aside. Now with the help of an assistant, we can grab the bumper cover by the fender, pull it out, or grab it by the headlight, pull up on it, and we can pull it towards us like so. Now on the driver's side, there's a connector here. It's got a gray locking tab. Take a screwdriver, push in on it, push it on the black tab, undo the connector. Now we can just set the bumper cover aside on a place where it won't get damaged for reinstallation later. Now we can remove our temperature sensor, which is normally located down here in this area. However, this car has been in a previous accident, so the front end is slightly different on it, but it's held in place of a push pin on the back side on the bumper support right here. So just keep that in mind. If you see it down here, take the push pin out and relocate it out of the way for the time being. But it's already been handled in our case, so we can move on to moving this fluid cooler here out of the way. To do that, we just remove the two 10mm bolts that hold it in place. With the bolts removed, push up on it a little bit, and the locking tabs that hold it in these holes come down. We can set it down like so. Now we need to trim our airflow guide in front of the radiator down here along the seam. It's about right there, and straight underneath the bumper here. We'll do that on both sides. Now using a pair of snips, we can cut along the line that we drew, just like so. We'll do the same on the other side. Now where the tabs went into that held our fluid cooler in place, we'll take a 1/4-inch drill bit and drill through the back of the bumper. We'll do that for both locations. Always make sure that there's nothing behind that you're drilling into, like wires. It's also a good idea to wear safety glasses and gloves while you're drilling into metal, so you don't have metal shavings getting in your eyes or stuck in your fingers. Now using an 1¼ hole saw, we'll go into the holes that we previously drilled and drill a hole in the first layer of the bumper. Do the same for both locations. Now using our 1/4 by 1/2-inch long bolts, we can reinstall our cooler here to the back side of the bumper. We'll insert the bolts like this, bring it up into position, push our bolts through, do the same on the other side, like so. Then we can take our 1/4-inch flange nuts and install them onto the bolts. It's easy to get the nuts on the bolt if you take a 7/16 socket on an extension and start the nut that way. Do the same for the other one. Now to snug them down all the way, just take a 7/16 wrench, stick it on the bolt head on the back side of the bumper, then we can tighten them down the rest of the way. Do the same on both sides. Perfect. Now on the passenger side of the vehicle, we need to remove this wiring harness for the time being and set out of the way. Take our panel tool, pop up on the clip that holds it down, and we'll just put it over here for the time being. Just tuck it down there. Now the hole where the wires were clipped into place on the passenger side, we'll use that as a guide for our 1¼ hole saw again, and drill an access hole into the frame. Now there's 2 layers of metal on this that we're drilling through. Okay, there's the first layer down. Now we can drill through the second layer. Now we're down through both layers. Now we're almost ready to put our base plate into position to mark our holes that we need to drill out for it. But first, we need to remove this electrical connector here on the driver's side frame rail. Just use our trim panel tool, get behind it, pop it out of the way. Okay, in order to get it really out of the way, we can pull up on this red connector here on the horns, push it up, disconnect the horn, disconnect the wiring harness for the horn here, using our trim handle tool again. And we can take our wire, pull it up to the side of the headlight, and it won't be in our way. Now, with the help of an assistant, we'll slide our base plate up behind the bumper and push it into position. With it loosely in position, we can grab a soft rubber mallet and start tapping it up the rest of the way. Working our way across, working in both sides equally. Okay, we got our base plate into position here. Let's check our measurements and make sure everything's good. Okay, we're sitting at 3.5 inches on the driver's side, and we're sitting at 3.5 inches on the passenger side. That's exactly where they want us to have it in relation from the bottom of the bumper bracket to the top of the base plate. Now, with it in position, you can clamp it into place and drill your holes. I have mine supported on a set of jack stands, so I don't need to worry about that. But if you don't have a set of jack stands at home to hold it in position, just use a pair of vice grips on either side and clamp it really tight and it won't move. So we can start drilling our holes now. We want to drill our pilot holes for the 5 holes on either side, and eventually we will enlarge them to a 13/32 drill bit. Let's get started. With all 5 of our pilot holes done on the passenger side, we can do the same on the driver's side. All right, we got all of our pilot holes drilled, all 10 of them. Now we can enlarge to our final hole diameter of 13/32 using a 13/32 drill bit. Now, just to let you know, you're drilling through 2 layers of metal on this, so it does take some time. All right, now that we're through that one, we can drill out the other 9 holes. Using our 3/8 bolts and our nylon lock nut, we'll install the 4 bolts on the back of the base plate, making sure we put some red Loctite on our bolt. Put the nylon lock nut on the back, and we'll get them started. We'll do the same on the other side. Now that we have the 4 bolts on the back of the base plate loosely installed, we can remove our support bars here and move on to the other 3 bolts on either side that go through the frame rail. Now for our 3 bolt holes on the driver's side, we'll take one of the other bolts that has the flange on it and a lock washer, put some red Loctite on it again, take our handle nut here, insert it through the hole in the frame, and thread our bolt in. We'll do the same for the other 2. We'll just loosely install these for right now. We can move on to the passenger side and do the same thing and go through the access hole that we drilled in the frame rail on the passenger side, starting with the back one first and moving our way forward. Put a bend in the handle nut slightly so we can get it into position. So we'll take our Loctite again, coat our bolt with it, and go to our handle nut, thread it on, making sure we get it started several turns, just like so. Now we'll do the other 2 the same way as we did the back one. Okay, now that we have all of our bolts installed, we can just go ahead and tighten them down. Do the same on the other side. Okay, with our bolts snug down, we can tighten them to the manufacturer specification listed in the instruction manual. We'll do the same on the other side. Now, if our excess handles for the handle nuts sticking out, just grab a pair of side cutters and stick them on there, then twist it back and forth and break off the excess. We'll do the same on the other side. Now, with the wires that we pulled out of the way when we put the base plate on, we'll route them back to the direction they go. Reattach our horn harness here. Plug it back into the horn and push the red lock tab down. Perfect. Now where the holes that we drilled, the 1.25" diameter holes in the front of the bumper and over here on the passenger side frame rail, I always like to take some spray paint. Just spray it so there's no more bare metal exposed, so it won't rust. Perfect. Now with our base plate securely torqued down to our vehicle, it's time to install our safety cables. To do that, wrap it around the subframe, making sure we don't get any wires or anything in the way. Pull it up, just like so. Take our quick connector, route it around the cable, go through the connector hole in the base plate, slide in the other connector, or slide in the other end of the cable, excuse me. Snug it down with your hand. Then we'll take a 3/4 inch wrench, and snug it all the way down. Now with the help of an assistant, we put the fascia cover back in place to see where we might need to do some trimming. Right here on this vertical black bar, underneath the chrome section on the grille, on both sides, we'll need to remove these. To do that, we can just take a razor knife and trim it, or use a pair of side cutters, one of the two. Let's go ahead and do that. Now I use the side cutters to cut that off. I'm just going to use a razor knife here to help smooth it out to give it a nice clean look. Just be careful when you're doing this because these knife blades are sharp. With the cut made, we can attempt to test fit again with the help of an assistant, just because the bumper cover is slightly awkward. Now that we have test fitted our bumper cover on the vehicle, we found out that everything fits good. So here's our electrical connector on the bumper cover or fascia. Reinstall it on the car harness until it clicks into place, then push in on the gray locking tab, just like so. Now we can put the bumper cover back in place completely. Now we can put our 7 10mm bolts back in. We'll start with the 2 on the outside corners just to help hold it into place. Then we'll do the 5 in the middle. You want to make sure you start these by hand first, just so you don't risk cross-threading anything. With them started by hand, we could run them down. Now we can take our radiator cover panel, slide it into position, push down where the locking tabs were. Then we can put our plastic push pin fasteners back on. Now we can take our hood seal. And remember how the hooks were pointed toward the passenger side going out and on the driver's side going out. Once you get to the middle of the car, just slide it over the hook and pull it on. Working your way across the vehicle. Once we get to the middle, we have to change directions of our pull. Make sure we go around it. Ensure that all the hooks engaged. Perfect. Now using one of our 7mm bolts, we can reinstall the bolt that holds the bumper cover to the fender. We'll do the same on the other side. Now we can reinstall our screws that hold the fender liner to the bumper cover. There's 4 on each side, but we don't have our underbody splash shield in place yet, so we're only doing the 3. Okay, we'll do the same on the other side. Now we can take our underbody shield. There's a groove in the bumper cover where it slides into. With it in position, we can reinstall the 3 10mm bolts that we took out On the back, with our bolts loosely installed, we can tighten them down with our 10mm socket. Now we can take our 7mm socket again, the 12 7mm bolts that held the bottom of the splash shield to the front of the bumper cover, and we'll loosely install them just in case we need to slide anything around. With all 12 of our bolts loosely installed, we can tighten them down. And 12. Okay, now we'll go ahead and reinstall the remaining 3 screws on the passenger side. Now we'll tighten them down. Okay, now we can repeat the process for the remaining 2 screws on the driver's side.
And that completes the installation of the Blue Ox base plate kit, part number BX1690 on our 2013 Cadillac SRX.